Bonjour and welcome into the cave. If you're not new here, you already know that in this house we love post-hardcore. And even more, we love it when the lyrics feel intentional, when every line carries weight and reads almost like poetry. My guest today embodies that perfectly. Not only a powerful vocalist, but also a thoughtful writer. I am very excited to dive into his words and music. Fynn Gillions of Take Breath is here with me today. Hi, Fynn.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. It was a very kind intro. Thank you.
Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
This year you released 4 singles, the last one being The Way You Move. How has the year been for you?
Yeah, pretty good so far. I mean, we've got more to come still. We're not done with releasing. We haven't announced the full thing yet, but there is a lot more stuff coming out. It's gone really well. We sort of, at the start of every year, we try and have a little meeting and assess our goals for the year, how everything's gone the year before, that kind of thing. And this year, we just really wanted to make loads of music. That was sort of felt like we had been playing the game a little bit for too long and trying really hard to do all the right things. And we just sort of went, you know what, I really want to just make loads of songs, put them out and hope that people like them. So that's what we've been doing. And it's been great, to be honest. We've sort of been in and out of the studio most of the year, just recording songs in groups of 2 or 3. It's been the most enjoyable recording process for sure. And people seem to be enjoying them. So I think it's going pretty well so far.
Yeah, right. The feedback has been pretty good so far, so I'm excited about the rest.
Yeah, me too.
So let's start with the first lyric you wanted to talk about, which is from your song Writhe. Bodies tied as they twist and writhe, skin white, your life drains into mine. So first of all, why did you choose this line?
I just really like it, to be honest. It's one of those ones where, I mean, I'm sure you know this feeling when, you try and write something really hard and you can be trying for hours and hours and hours and maybe not get anywhere. But one of those lines that just sort of falls out of your head and it just sounds right and feels right. I think it embodies this song perfectly. I wrote a story for this one, so that's where that comes from, basically. Yeah, I just think it's a really bittersweet line and there's a lot of nasty connotations to it, but also quite lovely ones. So I think that's just the perfect embodiment of this song. So it's probably one of the lyrics I'm most proud of writing, I think.
And so it's in the chorus, and I really love the chorus of this song. It's really an earworm, and once you hear it, it's just in your head, and I think really it sounds very well.
Awesome.
Very good.
Thank you. I'm glad you like it.
You said that you wrote a story about this song, so are you also a writer that just like to write stories?
Not really, to be honest. I always used to be. So when I was a kid, I loved writing and I sort of just stopped. I don't know why. I guess started hobby collecting a little bit and forgot about all of the things that I used to enjoy doing. But when we came to this year and like I said about doing all these releases, my initial sort of worry about that was, if we're going to write loads and loads of songs, am I going to have enough to talk about? Have I got things I want to say? Because, in my opinion, there's not really any point writing a song unless you have something to say with it. So yeah, I was a bit worried about that. Looking back over our previous releases and stuff, there'd always been, regardless of whether the songs were a bit more standalone, there had always been a sort of story arc that followed across a whole set of releases. And I just wanted to change it up a little bit and do something a bit different. So every song that we've released this year has had its own story, which is completely unrelated to the others. The only thing that ties it together is, I guess, our sound, but thematically, they're all very different. So yeah, writing this one, I think this is the first of the stories that I wrote. They all sort of came in different orders, but this one I wrote the story first and then lyrics based on the story. And it was really enjoyable, to be honest. I have, like I said, haven't written properly for ages, so it was quite cool going back to that, and it sort of inspired me to get back on that train and hopefully write some longer things in the future. If we were to ever do an album or something, it'd be really cool to write a story that spans the whole album rather than doing it this way in short stories. But yeah, it was quite an inspiring process, I think.
I guess this is something that we all have. When we were kids, a lot of us were reading a lot. So I guess you were reading a lot too if you were writing, and then life happens and you just do it less.
That's spot on. I think I realized this year. obviously starting to write again, but I don't think I'd picked up a book for the past 3 years, which is, I guess modern age probably isn't that weird, but for something that I loved doing so much as a kid, it felt really weird that I just had no involvement in it anymore. So yeah, it was really nice to step back into that sort of area and, like you said, revisit some sort of things that you enjoyed as a child. It's really important.
What did you like to read when you were a kid?
Anything fantasy, to be honest. I'm just massive Harry Potter kid. I actually started because of realizing I hadn't read anything. I thought, where do I want to start? So I reread all the Harry Potter books to get myself back into the flow. And I'm currently rereading the Eragon series, which I loved as a kid. The Hobbit as well, Lord of the Rings, that kind of stuff. Anything fantasy is where I'm at.
And so we talked about you as a kid, that you were writing a lot, reading a lot. And did music arrive approximately at the same time or later?
Oh, it's interesting. I don't know that how much overlap there was there. My parents are very musical. My family are very musical. So it's always been around. My mum plays pretty much every instrument you could imagine to some degree. So it's been in my life pretty much forever. And I remember getting into music, buying CDs and stuff as a kid. I don't think I started playing instruments properly. I played piano when I was younger, but I didn't start playing properly and songwriting until I was probably about 13, 14. And I think it was probably around that time that I stopped reading and writing, because I guess the interest just sort of moved elsewhere. It's been surrounding me my whole life, so it was kind of inevitable that I would fall into this sort of arena. Yeah, it's just been a bit of a weird journey falling from... I do sort of collect hobbies, so as I've been, going from kid to teenager to adult, the amount of stuff that I've picked up along the way that I'm like, this is going to be what I do. And then I'll do it for about a year and then never pick it up again. I've just got like countless objects and weird things in my house that I don't touch anymore. Music is the one that's stuck. That's probably where that came from, I suppose.
Well, I'm glad that music stuck for you then. And you said that all the songs of your record are completely independent, a bit like an anthology. Do you have a favorite?
Favorite song or favorite story?
Both. Let's do both.
Yeah, probably. I think we've just recorded a song literally last week, which felt kind of last minute, not underprepared, but it's sort of, I wasn't worried about it and I knew it would come. And it's sort of just, I wrote it and then we went to the studio and recorded it pretty much straight away. And that's probably a contender for my favorite song. My favorite story would definitely be Writhe. It's something I'm very proud of. We were discussing whether to release the stories, and I think maybe we will, but it'll be like once everything's out, I guess we could come back to it and do a full release of all the short stories as an anthology, like you said. Yeah, I think Writhe is probably my favorite, just in terms of I really like the storyline and it feels quite special to me. So yeah, I'd say that one.
I read it and I also really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
And when I read the story, then the song had a complete new meaning for me, because it was really up until the end of the story that you understand it. Also, the music video is quite related to it. Have you been part of the production of the music video, of the writing of it?
It's really weird to explain how this works in my head, the way I view this, but the song is based on the story that I wrote and the music video is based on the story that I wrote, but they somehow all exist kind of separately. They've got their own little world where it's like I've sort of taken inspiration from my past self on it, I guess. So the song isn't a full embodiment of the story necessarily, and the music video isn't the full embodiment of the story either, but they're all sort of different interpretations of it. Morgan, who does all of our video work, he's incredible. When we first sat down to talk about what we wanted to do for this video, I sent over, obviously, the song, a brief sort of rundown of what the song was about, and then I sent the story as well. We sort of took it from there and worked on it more collaboratively of how that would work in a video and what do we have to change to make this work, because obviously if you wanted to make the story that I'd written, you would kind of have to do a full film, which I guess we kind of did, but just a lot more reduced. It was a more collaborative effort, but I did obviously have, I guess, the original idea for that, which we then took and expanded there, but we couldn't do any of that stuff without Morgan. His creative mind is incredible. So everything he brings to my ideas just makes them a million times better.
And where do you get your inspiration, whether it is for your lyrics, maybe also from your previous records or from the stories you write?
A bit of everywhere, I suppose. Lyrics are something that don't necessarily come as naturally to me. I'd say first and foremost, I am a songwriter. 9 times out of 10, I will write an instrumental before I put any words to it. So I find it quite hard sort of getting inspiration for lyrics sometimes. I'll always try and make an effort. I don't, there's something, it doesn't click properly in my brain when I listen to a song. I don't hear the words. I have to go and properly read them to understand what I'm hearing because it's just noises to me. So I do make an effort to do that because I think it's really important to be inspired by people around you, whether that's the same sort of genre or completely different. And I would say that's the same for the general songwriting as well. We like taking quite a wide inspiration and listening to as much as possible. I'd say the majority of us that work on this project don't listen to that much heavy music anymore. We obviously write it and we love it and we care about it a lot, but there's so much other influence to be taken from. And I think if you, as I guess a heavy musician, if all you listen to is heavy music, you can only sort of, you're limited in what you can do unless you're, one of those freaks of nature who just have endless ideas somehow. But I think it's important to take inspiration from as many places as possible. And with lyrics especially, I think a lot of lyrics in our genre can be quite repetitive and quite samey. Not that that's a bad thing. It's, just what genres are like, isn't it? But I would like to have lyrics that don't sound like other people. I think that's important. Listen to a lot of pop music and quite a lot of folk music as well. I guess that's my bigger inspiration for lyricism rather than songwriting.
Yeah, I think some of my favorite bands are also my favorite bands because they are like no others, because they just take inspirations here and there.
I think a lot of the time when you're getting into a band or trying to learn more about a band, if you look into them, you'll either be surprised because the people they say they are inspired by you don't like and it's a bit of a weird letdown, or you'll be like, oh yeah, I can 100% hear that. And I think it's, like you say, most of the bands that you listen to are taking inspiration from other places, that no one is completely creative within themselves to not be inspired by other people. So it's really important to take as much on board as possible.
Yeah, exactly. And also it's funny what you said about, for you, when you hear a song, it's all just noise.
Yeah.
Because actually I have a podcast about lyrics and I am the same. But I think there are really two types of people. The brain just doesn't process the lyrics, and I love lyrics and checking them out, but there are songs that I've been listening for 10 years. I have no idea what he's saying.
Me too. I think if I listed you my top 5 or 10 songs, there's no way I'd know the lyrics to most of them. I have no idea what they are.
And
weird.
Sometimes, there's a bit of a contrast between the music and the lyrics, and then you check the lyrics and you're like, oh,
yeah. Yeah, I get that a lot.
But yeah, I find it very funny. Even though one of the songs I know the most by heart is The Last Lost Continent by La Dispute, and it's a 12-minute song, and this I can tell you all the lyrics.
Every single one.
Yeah.
That's fair.
But for most of them, and some people would say, yeah, but you listen to middle, it's screaming. Yeah, no, also the singing, sometimes I have no idea. But yeah.
I'm
so
glad it's not just me.
No, I think there are just two types of people in the world with two different types of brains, and we
definitely.
are in this category.
For sure.
We talked about the song Writhe that you wrote from a story, so that is not really related to your own life. And then you wanted to talk about your song Canvas, which is more personal with the lyrics. I've seen the light in your eyes die 1,000 times. I don't want to live this life without you by my side. So can you tell me why you chose this line?
Yeah, this is a rare one for us. I write I'd say all of the lyrics for our band. And every now and then, if other members have got ideas of stuff they'd change, they'll send that to me. But this is a lyric that when we were writing our previous EP, See the Life Leave Me, there was a lot of focus around that EP, around, I guess, art and what it's like to be an artist. So we had been having a lot of personal conversations about that, kind of separate to writing sessions and stuff. One day I woke up and looked at my phone, and Louis, our drummer, had just sent me just literally that lyric just in a text form. And I sort of looked at it and was like, what is this? This is awesome. Where's this come from? And he was like, oh, I just wrote it. And I was like, let's use it. This is perfect. I distinctly remember the conversation. I spoke to him and I was like, that lyric is amazing. Like, where'd that come from? You just pulled it out of thin air. And he was like, no, I actually wrote it about you. So I was like, oh, okay, this is like quite an intense thing to write about then. I suppose that's 100% going in. It's one of those moments where, I suppose, fairly rare moments in life where you feel like someone really sees you and you just feel completely noticed and like that person understands you completely. And it was one of those moments for me when Lou said that he'd written that about me and, all the meanings behind it. And I was like so taken aback by it and so, I guess, overwhelmed and felt, really a little bit sad. I think it's obviously not the nicest lyric in the world, but also lovely. It's the same sort of thing as the Writhe one, I suppose. It's got a really negative connotation and a positive one at the end. So yeah, it just felt really powerful to me. And I wanted to talk about it because, I wanted Louis to have some recognition for writing one of my favorite lyrics of all time and putting it in our own song.
We can say to be loved is to be seen. He really saw you at that time. And I think as band members, it's important to.
Yeah, absolutely.
And especially really close to each other.
In the sort of style that we play as well. It's quite emotional music. So if you can't be emotional around the people you're making that music with, it doesn't really feel genuine. So yeah, I thought it was really important.
So this was written more as a specific moment of your life, or is the rest of the song also mostly just your general thought?
It was I'd already started writing the lyrics to this. I didn't have all of it when Louis gave me that one. It's obviously the last lyric of the whole song. So I think I had like the chorus and a couple of bits of verses and stuff, all sort of based on what I was saying before about, how it feels to make art and the sort of negative effects, I suppose, that it has on you, trying to create something that is going to stand the test of time and be worth listening and not just make music for the sake of it. So I already had all of this in my head, and I have quite bad slumps with being a musician, which is what inspired the song in the first place. I know everyone gets it. Any sort of artist at any point will go through ebbs and flows of being able to, feel like you're really expressing yourself and you're doing an amazing job of it, and then bouncing between that and being like, well, I'm awful at this. Why do I bother? And I get that quite badly. And I think that's what it's about, I suppose, seeing the light in your eyes die 1,000 times, because I'd say at least once a year I have one of those months probably where I just don't want to do it and I feel awful and pretty miserable. And Louis, bless him, has to take on the brunt of that because he is the heart and soul of our band. So if I can't do it and I'm feeling really worn out and I'm just struggling to get anything out, then Louis sort of feels the brunt of that the most, I suppose. So yeah, it made me feel quite, I guess, kind of sad that he was writing that. I mean, he did have to add afterwards, obviously, if we weren't friends, I would be fine. Like, I wouldn't just die. But, I like to think that he would. I know it's like you said, it felt like he had completely seen me, and it felt like one of those moments that I just couldn't miss. So had to be like the last most powerful moment in that song.
And I guess as a band, you probably all have those moments.
Yeah.
But not
100%.
at the same time. So there is always one that can lift the other up.
Yeah, you're picking up the slack from other people constantly. That's just how it works, and that's the job, I suppose. And it's quite a nice thing to know that if you can't do it at the minute, someone else has got your back.
You talked about what is hard as an artist, and can you express specifically what is really for you? Is it really just the fact that what you think you're writing at the moment is bad, or is there anything else?
As a writer, you write stuff sometimes that comes from a place that you didn't know it was there. So you're writing something for a specific reason, and you see other little traces sort of poking in, and you think, oh, I didn't realize I was writing about that. And I mean, sometimes I can write an entire set of lyrics without knowing what I'm trying to say, and then read them back afterwards and go, oh, that makes so much sense. Now I know the emotions I was feeling. So I think with this one, with Canvas specifically, but I guess the whole EP, I was having a bit of a hard time of it anyway. So it was hard to write just about one thing and not have my own emotions sort of take over a little bit and feed into it, because it is cathartic. And I think that is the sort of answer to my own question of what is art as an artist. And it's just, I'm just putting bits of myself in everything that we do. And I think that's what art is. And if you're not saying something, it's not art. You could draw something or write a song for fun. And if it's not got a purpose, it's less
Mhm.
meaningful. There's not as much to it. And yeah, that whole EP, but specifically that song, is very much about that. And it gets quite dark, I suppose. There's a lot of darkness in there. And I think I try and put a bit of darkness in everything that we do. That's quite a big theme for us. But I was in a bit of a dark place myself at the time, so it was a lot easier to get rid of. Just felt like I was sort of unburdening myself of a lot of negative emotions, and it made me fall in love with doing music again, it coming out of a slump, because I was writing specifically about how bad I was feeling not being able to do music. So doing that and realizing that actually I've written something quite good and I'm proud of this, that song is responsible for making me feel good again. So it's quite a special one, I think, in my heart, and that EP is quite powerful for me to listen to now, looking back on it.
Writing your emotions forces you to express them and then go to the roots of it sometimes, and you just have a aha moment where you're like, this
Yeah,
comes from here.
completely. And I think that a lot of the times I'll look back at the lyric and, like I said, you didn't know what it meant before. It was sort of just words that felt natural and they fall out of you. And then you look back at them when you understand your emotions and think, that's exactly what I was trying to say. And I said it right. That's great. But I wish I could have realized that rather than just writing down words about it. But it is a very important way of getting your emotions out.
I don't know if it's the healthiest way, but at least it is a way, and
Yeah,
it's better than having everything inside.
exactly.
You were saying that you are making art for it to make sense, and that sometimes you feel like what you're doing is bad. And in those moments, are you just your own critic, or are you also projecting what can be said about it?
I think there's always both sides of that coin there. Because as much as every artist would like to say, we write music because we want to write music, I think it would be quite naive to say that you're not always aware of how people are going to take it, and you're not always thinking about whether people are going to like it. It's nonsense to me. I think I hear a lot of people saying, oh, we only write for us, that's our whole purpose. I'm like, I agree, and that is my main purpose for wanting to write, but I would be lying if I said that I didn't want to please people as well. So yeah, I think in those times where I'm having a terrible time and I don't think I can do it, the majority of that is I am beating myself up. But there's always going to be that other side where you think, God, other people are so much better than me. If I put this out, people are going to think I'm terrible. It's always going to be there, I think. So acknowledging both heads of that, I suppose, is quite important. And I think 9 times out of 10, you will always be your own harshest critic, won't you? That's just kind of how the world works. Not everyone's going to like the stuff that you do, and that's quite important to make yourself aware of. And I don't think that, that's sunk in for me yet. And I don't think, who knows if it ever will, but it's kind of hard to not try and please everyone all the time.
To be realistic, if you were doing it only for yourself and let's say it's something completely that people cannot hear, then you wouldn't be able to make more because you still need people to like it and to
Exactly.
listen to it, to continue.
You're providing a service at the end of the day. People wouldn't make movies if they didn't want people to watch them. So you wouldn't
Mhm.
make music if you didn't want people to listen to it. As a fan of music and as someone who has listened to music for a long time, I think pretty much everyone in a band and everyone who likes music in any capacity can say that that has been helpful for them and cathartic for them, and knowing that, you know, there's not a really a better feeling than seeing that someone that you really like is about to put out a new song. That feeling where you sit down just about to listen to a new release from someone that you really enjoy. You can't describe how good that feels. So making that music, and, you know, hopefully there is people in the world who feel like that about the stuff that we make. That's the whole point. Like, that's 10 times more important for me than, okay, I've managed to get out my whingy little emotions, but this person here could be really struggling and it could really help them. So why would you not do that? It seems silly to me that people wouldn't be trying to cater to those people.
We always like to share, for example, even if it's not a song you created, hey, I like this song, how do you like it? And you instantly like it when the person also
Yeah,
likes it, or watching a movie with someone and you're just always checking if they are laughing at this joke, you know?
that's the best feeling in the world, honestly. I'm such a movie lover. And Louis as well in our band is. So we quite often share thoughts and feelings about movies, and it is the best feeling in the world where you have a recommendation for someone and they end up loving it. Just, yeah, that is the best. And it forms a connection between you and that person then, and that doesn't go away. I'm a massive nerd, I suppose. I love Marvel movies. I love Lord of the Rings. So getting all of my friends into all of those things, it's just the best feeling in the world. So yeah, I completely see what you mean.
That's the same in music and a bit of every genre, but especially in our genre, this is something that we really connect to. People connect to if they see someone with a t-shirt of a band. You're like, you want to go talk to this person.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so, yeah,
It's such a
it's really
supportive
important.
scene as well, when it at its best. Obviously, there's always negatives to it, but I think
Hmm.
generally our scene is so supportive, and we're all in it for the same reason, and we all love it, and that is such a lovely thing to be a part of. So that, I guess, contributing to that is quite fulfilling.
Yeah, and then putting your music out in the world. How does it feel to release a new song?
Oh, terrible! I hate it. I'm a bit of a nervous wreck when it comes to that. I'm so confident about the song, and I can be convinced that it's the best thing we've ever done. Release day is my worst nightmare. I just have a bit of a shut everyone out, and I'll just sit on my own and try not to think about it because it just stresses me out, which is silly because in terms of even getting feedback and knowing if it's going to do well or anything, you don't know that the day of. So
Hmm.
it's not like I'm waiting for anything. It's just that sort of fear of something that I've poured, you know, all of us in the band put so much time into this stuff. Mm, and we've all spent hours and hours and hours working on this thing that just at midnight it's just there, and it's just, it seems like, oh, that's it now. There's nothing else we can do. Like, all of the work is done. So yeah, it's quite scary, but I'm trying to be better at that because I know it's sort of inevitable in the job, and it's going to happen for the rest of my life if I'm lucky enough to carry on doing this for forever. So yeah, I should probably try and come to terms with the fact that it's fine and you're just putting out a song.
But I can imagine that there is also a mix, and maybe it makes it even worse because you're as excited as you are terrified or whatever. So it's really a whole spectrum of emotions.
Yeah, it really is. And I guess another reason to find it scary is that first day you get feedback from the people that you care about more, I suppose. Not to
Hmm.
say that you don't care about everyone that listens to your music. I want everyone to enjoy it. But the people that you know and love and you trust their opinions massively, that they're the people that you want to hear what they have to say. And, you know, if you put out a song and it flops and it doesn't do very well, but the 5 people that you love and care about and their opinion means more to you than anyone else in the world all say that was amazing, it's
Hmm.
still fulfilling. And as much as, you know, it hasn't achieved what you wanted it to, you still got something back from that, and that's quite important. So I guess that first day is quite scary for that as well, because you're going to get all of the opinions from people like early doors that are going to listen to it straight away. So far, no one's messaged me on day one and go, "What are you
That was
doing? This is
shit.
shit." But luckily, I feel like that's going to happen one day. But
No, I can understand because they're also the people who know you the best. So I guess if they don't like it, it's because they didn't recognize you in it.
yeah, that's a beautiful way of looking at it, actually. I've got a really good friend called Charlie, and we used to live together. So she got very annoyed with hearing Take Breath songs all the time because I was just working on it constantly. We moved out last year, and she said to me that it's actually exciting now. She's like, "Oh, it's awesome, like hearing your songs, because I haven't heard it before, and it's cool getting to hear what you've been working on so hard." And I think that's so important. And I think like all of my friends are super important to me in terms of what they're going to say about it. And like you say, if they see a bit of you in the song that you've made, then amazing.
Aside from the band members, do you also get sometimes some input from friends or family? I don't know, for lyrics or for the song before it's recorded?
Yeah, I'll quite often play it. There's a couple of my friends who I will play it to ahead of time if I'm either anxious, or oftentimes if I do something that I'm actually really proud of. If there's a bit that I think, because I think a lot of what we like to do is, like I was saying before, about taking inspiration from all sorts of different styles. So we don't want all of our music to sound the same. So if we do something that sounds different in a way that I'm pretty certain that someone that I know is going to like, then I want to show it to them ahead of time, because I'm just excited. And you want to,
Yeah.
like what you said about showing someone a movie and watching to see their reaction. It's so cool putting on a song that you're like, "Oh, there's this one bit at like halfway through the
Mhm.
song that I think they're going to listen to and go, oh, that's really cool," because it's just the best feeling in the world. So
Yeah.
yeah, I will, depending on the song, I sort of curate it to different people that I want to hear their opinion on, I suppose.
Yeah, and getting some reassurance that you're going in the right direction for
Yeah,
this song also.
especially pre-release day, hearing that someone doesn't think it's shit is quite a nice thing. So
And I want to come back to the fact that you're creating something with the idea that it will be heard. And is it actually something that is hard for you to balance between what you want to do and what you think people are going to like?
yeah, I suppose so. And I think on the last EP we did, there's a song that never made it because we decided that it was just a bit too different. And we like doing different stuff, whatever direction you push that in, whether it's heavier than you normally would be, or much lighter than you normally would be, or using instruments you wouldn't normally use. That's pretty much every time we do a big release or a set of songs in any way, we'll try and feature that in some way. But yeah, there is always that sort of, is this going to work? And it does affect your writing, because how songs are going to go down live and how people are going to enjoy them. Especially having now released a little bit for the past couple of years, you can see people's reactions to certain stuff and see what people vibe with more. And that's quite scary, because you're constantly evolving, and you don't want to get stuck in that trap where people only love you for the one sound that you had that you don't want to do anymore, because that would be kind of sad. So, I think it is quite scary. And it does influence how you view it. And I think, as much as you write catered to what you want to do and what you think people will like, hand in hand, that, like the song I mentioned that we didn't put out on the last one, I'm still hoping that one day it will come out, and we'll just have it sit there for a little while and wait for the moment where we go, yeah, this will fit, this is going in, even if it's just a sort of re-release of something with some bonus tracks or whatever.
Yeah, or maybe it's going to fit better in the next album you're going to make or something, and it's just going to make sense. And from
Exactly.
your songs that are already out, can you think of, I don't know, a part of a song, a whole song, a lyric that when you created it, you were like, that's risky? And in the end, it's still here.
Hmm. That's a big question. When we were in the studio last week, we recorded 2 songs, and one is feels like the most Take Breath sounding song ever. And it's, I'm really proud of that one. We also recorded one that I don't want to like give it all away because it's kind of just going to be a little Easter egg, I think is the plan, which is wildly different. It's just not remotely trying to fit in with anything that we've done before. So I think that's just going to sit there at the end and be there as a, I guess like an Easter egg thing. And I think that's something that I would love to do moving forward. It's just every time we release, we're pushing the boundaries a little bit anyway. But if we can just always have one song that's like, this isn't meant to go with the rest, we just wanted to do it. It's just going to be there. So yeah, that I suppose. Also on the last EP, we wrote a song called I Can't Breathe, which is certainly the most vulnerable I've felt writing anything. So I think that felt risky in a different way rather than what if this doesn't land because it's not the right kind of vibe. It was more, this feels really personal. And especially as it's so stripped, we played it live on one little run that we did, and I refused to do it after that point because I was like, it's just, just me and a guitar and no one else doing anything, and it's terrifying. And like at the level we're at, where you haven't got that guaranteed audience of a massive room full of people who are going to be singing it. It's terrifying because what if you rock up to a venue and there's 3 people there and you've got to pour your heart and soul out, just you alone on that stage? So I guess that felt quite risky, but I am proud of the song and I think it did well. So people clearly felt whatever I was trying to get across, which is nice.
At first, when you started explaining it, I thought it would be that you would be scared because of how people would react to it, because there's a difference between, as we said, what people listen to your song or people you don't know, because it can be very personal. If it's people you don't know, it's actually they don't know your story, so they cannot make any connection.
That's very true. But I think with specifically that song, I Can't Breathe, it's interesting you say that because that song is about those people. So it sounds very like sort of sad breakup song. That main lyric being "Stay with me because I can't breathe. The love you've given me is all I can't see." Feels very relationshipy, but it's not. It's just about the people that I love and care about. And I was going through a really hard time in my life when I was writing that song, and I, sort of became aware that I wouldn't call it neglect because I think everyone in a relationship with, people, you go through those flows, just like with a band, when someone's not able to give everything, you don't mind picking up that slack, and it is a give and take thing. But I felt very selfish at that point in time because felt like I'd been taking for a really long time and not giving anything back. So that was kind of the opposite, actually. I was grateful to be able to play that song to those people because it was about them, and it was a sort of feels a bit like a thank you to me for those people for being there for me. So yeah, I guess that is scary as well. But the topic of this whole thing is just that I'm just scared about everything, which is fine.
Well, it's very scary to put your emotions out for the world and to be vulnerable.
Yeah, but I think it's really important as well because, people need to see vulnerability to be vulnerable, and we need more of that in the world. So it is an important thing to have to put yourself through, I think.
Exactly. And once this song was out, or that you recorded, or that the people listened to it, has it opened some conversation that might have been also important?
Yeah, it's been nice having that reaction and being able to say those things to those people. It's one of those things, isn't it, where those people's opinions mean so much to you. So having that validated, especially when it's about them, is really important. A lot of songs like that do open up conversations, which is great. That's the whole point. You want to be able to talk to people about stuff, and especially your own emotions that are that deep, I guess. I've always been a fairly emotional person, so I think like it's quite important being able to talk about that with people and being able to share that, whether it's through music or just talking about it and having conversation. So I guess that's what a lot of our band portrays, I suppose.
Yeah, and especially as you were saying, when you feel very down and so you feel like you cannot give anything to anyone, so it's one more reason to beat yourself up because you're feeling guilty about it.
Yeah.
And at
And
least,
it's really easy to feel that guilt, I think, in that situation. And tying it back to the music stuff, when I'm in a music slump and I'm feeling guilty because everyone else is having to carry my weight and do the work. But it's not something that you should necessarily feel guilty about, because if people care enough about you, they will be there through that. And, there's a limit to everything. You can't just scrounge off people for the rest of your life, but people have got your back, and that's nice to know.
yeah, and they know that at this time they are giving maybe 90%, you're giving 10, but at some point the tables will turn
Yeah,
and that it
absolutely.
will be the opposite. Well, thank you very much, Fynn. That was a very interesting and deep conversation. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been really good.
And so now what's next for Take Breath?
We've sort of taken our time for writing, and we've come to the end of that and decided that it feels like we've done everything we wanted to this year. So just get that rounded off, keep releasing music and put it all out for this year, and then hopefully get some shows in the books to try and promote that on the live side as well. But yeah, I'm really excited for the next bits of what we're dropping, because as always, there's quite a lot of different sounding stuff that I'm really proud of. And I'm really proud of all of us for this year as a whole, I think. So yeah, just got to get the rest of it out now.
Very nice. So I'm excited about what's to come.
Thank you.
For everyone listening, go check Take Breath everywhere you listen to music. You can follow me on Instagram at Into the Cave Pod, and I will talk to you again next week with a new guest. And meanwhile, be kind to yourself. Bye.